Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me.
You ever realize the people you're killing yourself for never gave a damn about you? My name's Derek Lawson. I'm 45 years old, single, and a regional sales director for a logistics company. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, in what used to be my dream home, a 4-bedroom place on a quiet cul-de-sac, hardwood floors, wraparound porch, backyard fire pit, the works. It cost me $675,000. I paid every cent. My parents lived in it rent-free. Back when Dad's auto parts business tanked, I told them not to worry. You raised me, I said. I've got you now. I meant it. Paid the bills, covered groceries, utilities, property taxes, even cable, even though neither of them watched anything but reruns. I didn't realize until that night just how badly I'd misread the situation. It started with me coming home a little early from a client dinner. Nothing dramatic. Just didn't feel like making small talk over cheesecake. I parked, walked in quiet, and was heading down the hallway to drop off my laptop when I heard my dad's voice through the cracked office door. "Kid's a loser," he said, laughing. "Always was. Should have never been born." I froze. Thought I misheard. Then my mom's voice chimed in clear as day. "I mean, really? Who gives someone socks for Christmas? And that ugly jacket? It's like he has no idea how to be normal." Dad laughed harder. All that money and no soul. No wife, no kids. Just a cold, sad little man with a house he thinks makes up for it. I didn't breathe. Didn't move. "You think you'll notice if we bail in a year or two?" Dad asked. "Once we've saved enough?" "We'll tell him it's for our health," Mom said. "Get a condo. He won't question it." They kept talking. About plans. About their next chapter. On my dime. I backed away, quiet. My bag was still by the front door. I picked it up, walked out, and locked the door behind me. I didn't confront them. I didn't cry. Hell, I didn't even sit down. I drove straight to my buddy Jake's place, rang the bell at 10:30 p.m., with nothing but my laptop and a duffel bag in hand. He opened the door, took one look at my face, and didn't ask a thing. Just stepped aside and said, "You want beer or bourbon?" That night I sat on his couch staring at nothing. One thing replaying in my head on loop. You raised me. I've got you now. And they laughed. They didn't just not care. They resented me. Mocked me. Made me the punchline in the very house I gave them for free. They were never staying out of love. They were squatting until they could afford to leave. And I was footing the bill. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat there thinking. And by sunrise I knew. I was done. Not mad, not hurt, just done. The morning after I left, I made 2 calls before even brushing my teeth. First was to Gary, my financial planner. The guy had been managing my accounts for over a decade. He picked up on the second ring. "Derek," he said, chipper as always. "What's up?" "I'm done," I told him. "I want out. The house, the bills, all of it. Can you help me sell fast?" He paused, just a second too long. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," I said. "I just want a fresh start. No drama, no delay." "All right," he said, tone shifting. "I'll put you in touch with someone." Second call was to my boss, Pete. I'd worked 12 years without ever calling out sick. Not once. He answered with a grunt. "Lawson?" "Hey, Pete, I'm not coming in today." Another pause. "Everything all right?" I wanted to laugh. If only he knew. "Yeah, just taking a day. Appreciate the space." "No problem," he said. Actually, this might be good timing. That threw me. "How so?" "We've been talking about that Winston-Salem expansion. They want a regional lead. Same salary, different city. Interested?" I didn't answer right away. I was sitting on Jake's couch in a borrowed t-shirt, holding my phone like it was some kind of lifeline. Same salary, new city, clean slate. "I'm interested," I said finally. "Send me the details." After that, I got to work. Not the job work, life work. Jake's friend Marcus was a real estate agent. Low profile, no nonsense, the kind who didn't care why you were selling, just how fast he could close. We met that afternoon. He walked through the house while I kept to the porch. I didn't want to see it again. Not yet. "Place is in great shape," he said, scribbling notes. "We can move fast. You want to stage it?" I shook my head. "Sell it as is. Just give me enough time to get my stuff out." He nodded. "Can do. You want discretion?" "Absolute." He didn't ask why, didn't need to. That night, I started boxing up my life. Personal stuff first. Clothes, books, tools, my guitars. The framed photo of me and Jake from a ski trip in '08. One of the few times I remember feeling actually relaxed. I didn't touch any of my parents' stuff. Not a coaster, not a blanket. I acted like the house was a shared rental and I was just the roommate who found a new lease. The kitchen made me pause. That place had always been my favorite room. I'd renovated it myself. New tile, butcher block counters, deep sink. It was where we ate together, laughed together. Or so I thought. Looking around now, I didn't see warmth. I saw transactions, groceries I bought, meals I cooked. Wine I poured while they smiled and nodded and apparently couldn't wait to leave. I sat on the floor with a roll of bubble wrap in my lap, staring at a ceramic bowl I'd picked up on a trip to Asheville. My mom once said it was ugly, that it didn't go with the color scheme. I'd shrugged it off then. Now I wrapped it carefully and tucked it in a box labeled Keep. Every item I packed had a question attached. Is this mine or is this theirs? Is this something I chose or something I bought to keep them happy? The answers were sobering. Jake came by around 10 with burgers and a six-pack. He didn't say much, just handed me a sandwich and sat cross-legged on the carpet beside me. You all right? He asked finally. I nodded. Just seeing it all for what it is. He raised his bottle in a silent toast. About time. That night I lay on an air mattress in what used to be my guest room, the one place in the house that had always been mine. I stared at the ceiling fan and thought about everything I'd given up for them. Vacations, savings, peace, even privacy. And for what? The next morning I called Marcus. Let's list it, I said. I didn't flinch, not once. I had everything planned down to the hour. Listing day, open house, movers, even which day I'd stop by Jake's gym to borrow his truck. I'd never been the meticulous type when it came to my personal life. Work, sure. But this? This was personal now. Marcus scheduled the open house for Saturday afternoon. We figured we'd get eyes on it immediately. The market was still hot, and this neighborhood always sold fast. I set a timer in my phone for everything. Pack bedroom by Tuesday, garage by Thursday, final cleaning Friday night. I even booked a cleaner, something I'd never done before. On Wednesday, my sister Michelle called. I hadn't heard from her in a while. She lived up in Richmond with her husband and 2 kids. We were close growing up, but as adults, life got in the way. Mostly my life. Hey, you home? She asked, skipping hello. Not at the moment. What's up? There was a pause. Mom said you haven't been around, that you've been acting strange. I almost laughed. Strange? Yeah, she said you stormed out last week and haven't come back. I didn't storm out, I just left. Another pause. Okay, so are you moving or something? So are you moving? Yeah, I said. I am. What? You're selling the house? I already listed it. Open house is Saturday. The line went quiet. Derek, what about Mom and Dad? What about them? Her voice went sharp. Where are they supposed to go? I stood in the kitchen staring at a half-filled moving box marked office and waited for the anger to come. It didn't. Just calm. I don't know, Michelle. I figured they'd do what I've been doing for the last 6 years. Figure it out. You can't just dump them, Derek, I sighed. I didn't. I carried them. They've been living in my house for free, on my dime, while trash-talking me behind my back. She was quiet for a moment. You sure about that? I heard it, with my own ears. Another pause, then softer. I didn't know it was like that. Neither did I, until I did. She didn't argue after that. Just said she'd call them. She didn't sound thrilled, but she didn't fight me either. That told me everything I needed to know. On Friday morning, I made a brunch reservation for Saturday at 10 a.m., a nice place downtown. The kind my mom liked to pretend we went to regularly. I didn't say why. Just texted her and Dad that I wanted to take them out. My treat. She replied within minutes. Of course, how lovely, can't wait. Good, Aunt. That meant they'd be out of the house during the open house. Fewer complications. Saturday morning came, and I had the place staged just right. Fresh flowers on the table, candles in the bathroom, even played soft jazz on a Bluetooth speaker tucked behind the couch. I hated that stuff, but buyers loved it. I met them for brunch, wearing a collared shirt and a smile that didn't reach my eyes. They talked like nothing had happened, like we were still the same family. I let them ramble about omelets and traffic while checking Marcus's texts under the table. He sent a photo of the first group walking in, then another, then another. By the time we paid the bill, 3 offers had come in, one already above asking. When we got back to the house, they still hadn't noticed the for sale sign out front. I watched them walk inside, still buzzing from brunch, completely unaware of what was coming. Michelle called me that night, said she'd talk to them. "They're in for a wake-up call," she said. "I offered to let them stay in our guest room, temporarily." "You didn't have to do that," I said. "I know, but someone has to be the adult in this family." I didn't say it out loud, but I appreciated her. She didn't know the full story yet. Not really, but she was about to. They saw the for sale sign on Sunday morning. I was back at Jake's, sipping coffee and watching the Panthers game when my phone lit up with a call from my dad, then my mom, then both again. I didn't answer. The 6th call was from Michelle. "They saw it," she said, skipping hello. Bing. I figured. They're losing it. Good. An hour later, Michelle texted, "They want to talk. All of us. Tonight." We met at the house, my house, or at least it still was, for a few more days. The 4 of us sat in the living room. I stayed standing, leaning against the wall, arms crossed. They sat on the couch like squatters pretending to be owners. Mom spoke first. Her voice was tight but trying to sound warm. "Derek, what's going on? Is this some kind of misunderstanding?" "Nope." Dad leaned forward. "You're selling the house? Without telling us?" "I told you," I said calmly. "I told you the second you started talking about me like I was trash. I just didn't use words." Mom's face hardened. "We never said anything like that," I laughed, short, sharp. "You sure? You want to hear the exact words?" "I remember them pretty well." "Derek," she said, trying a softer tone. "You must have misunderstood." "No," I cut in. "I didn't misunderstand a damn thing." I pulled a binder from my backpack and tossed it on the coffee table. Dad jumped like I'd thrown a grenade. Michelle leaned forward and opened it. Inside was everything. Bank statements, utility bills, grocery receipts, property tax documents, every automatic payment I'd made for them since 2017. I'd spent 2 hours at Jake's printing it all out. Mom reached for it, flipped a few pages, then blinked hard. "Why would you keep all this?" "Because I knew one day you'd pretend you didn't know." Michelle read silently, eyes scanning fast. Then she looked up. "You've been paying for everything?" "Everything." She turned to our parents. "You told me you were helping him, that you were covering some of the bills." My mom froze. Dad's eyes went flat. "We did, in other ways." "Really?" I said. "Which ones? You want to point to the part where you contributed to anything in this house?" Dad leaned back. "You're being dramatic." "No, I'm being honest, for once." Mom shook her head, defensive now. "We gave you emotional support. We were here for you. You trashed me to your friends. I heard you, remember? Should have never been born. He's nothing. You mocked the Christmas gifts I gave you." She flinched. That one landed. Michelle spoke up. "You said that?" Mom didn't answer, which was answer enough. Then Michelle said something I didn't expect. "You told me Derek couldn't afford to help me when Evan was in the hospital. You said he was selfish with money. That's why I took out a loan." I turned sharply. "What?" She nodded slowly. "That's what they said. I asked for help with the deductible and they said you refused." I shook my head. "I didn't even know Evan was in the hospital." Michelle's face went red. "They said you knew." Dad's voice rose. "We didn't want to bother him." "No," I said. "You didn't want me to know because you were busy keeping me as the bad guy while taking my money." Michelle's voice cracked. "You let me go into debt while he was paying your gas bill?" Mom started crying. Or trying to. "It wasn't like that." "It was exactly like that," I snapped. "I've been nothing but a wallet to you. And when I stopped giving, you panicked. Not because you'd miss me, because you'd miss the lifestyle." Dad stood like he was ready to explode. "You owe us. We raised you." I stepped forward. "You lived in my house, ate my food, watched my TV, for 6 years, free. You're even." No one said anything after that. just the low hum of the fridge from the kitchen. Michelle broke the silence. You two can stay with us for a while, but you're going to start paying for yourselves. Mom looked at her like she'd been slapped. We're your parents! Michelle didn't blink. And I'm done pretending that means something it doesn't. They sat there, stunned, like the script had been flipped and they'd forgotten their lines. I picked up the binder, tucked it under my arm, and headed for the door. You'll be out by Friday, I said without turning around. Or I'll have the movers pack your stuff too. And then I walked out. The house sold in 3 days. $697,000, all cash, no contingencies. Marcus called me with the offer and laughed like he couldn't believe it. You sure you want to let it go this fast? Faster the better, I told him. I signed the papers that afternoon. Just like that, the place I'd paid off, fixed up, and filled with people who didn't deserve it, wasn't mine anymore. The movers came Thursday morning. I'd already boxed up everything I wanted. A few pieces of furniture, some tools from the garage, my clothes, books, a couple of framed photos. I left the rest. They could keep the couch, the dishes, the espresso machine my mom never cleaned but always bragged about, even the art I bought to make the house feel homey. Let them sort it out. Michelle's minivan pulled up as the movers were finishing. She stepped out, looking tired but firm. My parents sat inside, heads down like kids waiting for the principal. They're coming, she said. Good, I replied. The house closes tomorrow. She watched the moving truck pull away. You sure you're okay with this? I gave her a small smile. You know what I realized, Michelle? She raised an eyebrow. I was holding on to stuff that didn't even belong to me. Not the furniture. Not the house. Them. She didn't say anything, just nodded slowly. They took things when they moved out, I added, almost offhand. Light fixtures, kitchen stools, a couple of paintings I liked. Even the towel warmer from the upstairs bathroom. Michelle's mouth dropped open. Seriously? I nodded. I didn't even ask. Do you want me to? No, I said quickly. Let him have it. Derek, that stuff was yours. I shrugged. And now it's not. Let them have their little trophies. None of it matters. She looked at me for a long time, then said, You're not the same as you used to be. I know, I said. That's the point. I had a U-Haul parked out front with the basics. The rest was being delivered straight to my new condo in Colorado Springs. A quiet spot up near Palmer Park with a view of the mountains and a small patio out back. 2 bedrooms, plenty of light, no history. I'd already accepted the job transfer. Same pay, new city, no baggage. Michelle gave me a long hug before she left. They'll try to come back, she warned. They'll find the locks changed. You're really not mad anymore? I thought about that for a second. No, just empty. That's worse, she said quietly. Not for me. I spent that last night in Raleigh sleeping on a rolled-up blanket on the bare floor. No mattress, no bed frame, just me, a duffel bag, and an echo bouncing off every wall. Funny thing was, I didn't feel lonely. I felt clear. The house was hollow. But for the first time, so was my chest. In a good way. Like someone had vacuumed out all the guilt, the expectations, the invisible weight I'd carried for years. I left the keys on the counter. As I locked the door one last time, I didn't look back. I just slipped the binder under my arm, the one with all the receipts, and walked to my car. The house had been full of things I bought trying to feel appreciated. Colorado didn't owe me anything. That's what made it perfect. My new condo sat just outside Colorado Springs, nestled against a row of evergreens and low mountain views that looked like they'd been painted on. No traffic noise, no footsteps above me, just silence and space. No freeloaders, no passive-aggressive sighs from the kitchen, no fake politeness about dinner plans or toothpaste caps, just me and 2 suitcases. It was the first time in years I walked into a place and didn't have to brace myself. The job was smooth. Same company, different branch. Fewer meetings, better coffee, and a boss who didn't micromanage. He gave me space to get the numbers right and didn't ask stupid questions when I left at 5 on the dot. I spent the first 2 weekends hiking trails I couldn't pronounce, getting lost on back roads that led to tiny diners and scenic overlooks. I bought a secondhand grill, started cooking for myself again. I hadn't done that since, God, maybe before my parents moved in, even picked up woodworking again. Nothing crazy. A bookshelf, a spice rack, a small bench for the patio. My hands still remembered the rhythm of sanding, measuring, staining. It felt good to build something just because I wanted to, not because someone needed it. Michelle called one evening around dinner time. I was outside with a beer and a burger, watching the sunset over the ridge. Her name popped up and I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. "Hey," she said. "You settled in?" "Yeah," I said, taking a sip. "Place is small but quiet. I forgot how nice quiet is." She was quiet for a second. "They've been difficult." I didn't ask who. I already knew. "Mom keeps pretending this is temporary," she continued. "Like you're just having a moment and you'll be back with your tail between your legs. She'd better pack a lunch." Michelle laughed, but it sounded tired. "They haven't lifted a finger since they got here. I told them I'd help them get on their feet, not carry them." "Let me guess," I said. "They took that as a challenge." "I didn't realize how much of what you did they took for granted," she admitted. "They complain about everything. The room's too small. The Wi-Fi's slow. Dad asked if I'd pay for a cleaning service." I whistled low. "Takes some nerve." "Yeah," she said, then quieter. "I'm sorry, Derek, for not seeing it sooner." I didn't speak right away. That one caught me off guard. "I thought you were just cold," she added. "I didn't realize you were drowning." "I didn't either," I said. "Not until I came up for air." Another pause. "I miss you." "I miss you too." We sat in that for a minute, just listening to the quiet hum of our respective evenings. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't teary. It was just honest. "You ever think about coming back?" she asked. "Nope," she chuckled. "Good. You sound better out there." I looked around at the soft light settling over the mountains, the smell of grilled meat, the half-built bench waiting for one last coat of varnish. "I am better out here," I said, for the first time in a long damn time. That night I slept with the windows open. No footsteps outside the door, no voices down the hall, no weight on my chest, just the wind, the stars, and the quiet relief of starting over on my own terms. It started with a voicemail from my dad. "Derek, we need to talk. Things are tight. Rent's due Friday. Can you spot us a little just this once?" I played it twice, then deleted it. 2 days later, I got an email from my mom. The subject line said, "Please read, sweetheart." I skimmed the first sentence. "We're your parents. We've always tried our best." And clicked archive without reading another word. Then came the texts. One in all caps, one with a Bible verse, one that ended with, "I hope you never have children of your own, so you'll never feel this kind of betrayal." That one almost got to me. Almost. Instead, I poured myself a coffee, sat on my new patio, and opened my therapy app. I'd started virtual sessions after the move. Just 30 minutes every couple of weeks, but enough to keep me grounded. When I told my therapist about the messages, she didn't look surprised. "They're escalating," I said, "going from guilt to shame." She nodded. "That's what people do when the old tactics stop working. It's like shaking a vending machine when the candy gets stuck. They're hoping if they rattle you enough, you'll drop back into place." "Yeah, well, I'm not candy," I said, "and I'm definitely not stuck." A week later, Michelle called. Her voice was tight. "They tried calling your new office." "What?" "Mom left a voicemail on your work line, said it was urgent family business. I intercepted it before anyone else heard." My jaw clenched. "They're trying to embarrass me." "They're trying to force your hand," she said. "They think if they blow up your job, you'll fold." "They don't know me very well." She sighed. "I think they know exactly who you are. They're just hoping you've forgotten." They didn't stop. Mom called again the next day. This time her voice was fragile, wobbly, like a bad stage play. "Derek, please, your father's blood pressure is up. He's talking about pawning his tools. We're not asking for much. Just a little support. You have so much. We have nothing." I closed the message and muttered under my breath, "You have nothing because you chose nothing." Michelle called again a few days later. She sounded different this time. Not angry, just worn down. "I need to say something," she said. "Go ahead." "I get it now. I see it. All of it." There was a pause. Then she added, "They've started turning on me." "What do you mean?" "They asked why I wasn't charging them rent. I said I was giving them time to find a place. Dad said, "Well, Derek gave us years. What's your excuse?" Then Mom told me I was selfish, said I should be grateful to even have parents. I exhaled slowly. They haven't changed. No, she said. They just changed targets. I didn't say I told you so. I didn't need to. You think they'll ever stop? She asked. Not until we stop letting them. That night I went for a walk along a trail near my place. The air was cool, sharp with pine and silence. I thought about all the years I spent afraid to say no, afraid to disappoint them, afraid to seem ungrateful. But this wasn't about anger anymore, or revenge. This was about peace. And peace, I'd learned, comes with boundaries. So when my phone buzzed again that night, another call from Dad, I didn't even look at the screen. I just turned off my phone, walked back inside, and locked the door behind me. Not out of fear, out of choice. For the first time in years, I didn't spend Christmas catering to anyone. No shopping lists from Mom disguised as suggestions. No fake gratitude over a dinner I paid for but wasn't thanked for. No long, silent car rides while Dad grumbled about how things used to be. Instead, I hosted a potluck. I told the neighbors in my condo building, mostly middle-aged folks and a few younger couples, to bring whatever they liked. No formal invites, no expectations, just come as you are. I roasted a turkey. Overcooked it slightly, but nobody cared. Jake flew in from Raleigh and made his famous mac and cheese. My coworker Brianna brought 2 kinds of pie. One of the older guys upstairs brought bourbon so strong it could disinfect a wound. We ate on folding chairs and mismatched plates. We played cards. We told dumb stories. When someone knocked over a glass of wine, nobody panicked. We just laughed and grabbed paper towels. It was the best Christmas I've had since I was a kid. No tension, no keeping score, no invisible weight pressing down on my shoulders. Sometime around 9 p.m., my phone buzzed. I checked the screen and saw Michelle's name. I stepped out onto the balcony to answer. "Hey," I said. She didn't say anything at first, just breathed into the line like she'd been crying. Then finally, "I kicked them out." I stood there in the cold, stunned. "You did what?" "They refused to even look for an apartment," she said. "Every time I brought it up, they found some excuse. It's not the right time. Rent's too high. We're still grieving the move." "Grieving?" I snorted. "I know," she said. "Then yesterday, Dad said he expected us to cover their groceries through the new year. Not ask. Expect." That sounded familiar. When I pushed back, he accused me of turning into you, like that was a bad thing. I leaned against the railing, letting the cold bite my arms. "What'd you say?" "I said thank you." I smiled. "Then I told them to pack their things," she continued. "Gave them a week. But this morning they pushed again. Mom started with the guilt. Dad started yelling. The kids were watching, and I just snapped." "So they're gone?" "Not yet," she said. "But I told them today was the last Christmas under our roof. If they want a place to celebrate next year, they'd better earn it." I nodded, proud of her in a way I didn't know how to say out loud. "How are you?" she asked. I glanced inside at the sound of laughter. Jake, losing terribly at poker. Brianna passing around pie. People who didn't owe me a thing but chose to be there. "I'm good," I said. "Real good." She hesitated. "I don't think I ever understood what it cost you, until now." "You didn't know," I said gently. "Now you do." "Yeah," she said. "Now I do." We didn't stay on long after that. Just enough to say Merry Christmas. Just enough for me to tell her I was proud. Back inside, Jake waved me over. "You in for the next hand?" I sat down, grabbed a handful of popcorn, and nodded. "Deal me in." Later that night, I poured myself a drink and stood by the window, watching the snowfall in the porch light. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Michelle. They told me I was heartless. I said, "Then I learned from the best. Merry Christmas, Dee." I finally get it now. I stared at the screen for a long moment, then smiled. Christmas without chaos. I never knew it could feel this good. It started simple. A Saturday morning DIY class at the community center, woodshop basics. I figured it'd be something different, a way to meet people that didn't involve awkward small talk at work or hanging around bars I had no interest in. That's where I met Lindsay. She showed up late, hair in a messy bun, holding a travel mug that smelled like cinnamon and caffeine. She muttered sorry as she slid into the spot next to me, knocking over a clamp in the process. I chuckled. She rolled her eyes and grinned. We sanded, drilled, and fumbled through building a wooden step stool we were both sure would collapse under pressure. It didn't. Neither did the conversation. Over the next few weeks, we started meeting for lunch after class. Then coffee on Wednesdays, then dinner on Fridays. There was no pressure with her, no games. Just this slow, steady feeling like maybe I didn't have to keep my guard up all the time. About a month in, I told her the short version of everything. My parents, the house, the move, Michelle. I didn't dramatize it, just laid it out flat. When I finished, she didn't frown or offer sympathy. She just nodded and said, "Glad you walked away." That was it. No pity, no advice, just validation. On my birthday, a few weeks later, Michelle sent me a card. Inside were 4 lines written in her neat handwriting. "Happy birthday, Uncle D. We miss you. Mom says you're finally smiling again. Love, Ellie and Max." It wasn't a big thing, but I read it 3 times and kept it on my fridge like it was a trophy. That night, Lindsay gave me a gift. Just a small box wrapped in paper with little mountains on it. Inside was a brass compass. "For finding your own way," she said with a smile. I couldn't say anything for a second. Just nodded, throat tight. It's on my nightstand now. Doesn't point north half the time. But I don't need it to. I've got direction. For the first time in a long time, I'm not chasing anyone's approval. Not explaining myself. Not covering for anyone else's mistakes. I've got a job I don't hate. A home I like coming back to. A woman who doesn't want anything from me but truth. And peace. The kind of peace you don't buy or beg for. The kind you build. Slow, steady, honest. Just like that bench on the porch. Just like this life. Just like me.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.